It is a very rainy, dreary day in the mountains of southern Appalachia. You can probably see it looks like it's dark. It looks like it's late evening. It's not.
It's 10 in the morning.
It's 10 in the morning. But I was going to talk a little bit about Appalachian language, one of my favorite things. I'm just plumb foolish about it, and I convinced Katie to sit down with me, take a little break from her work in the
I like breaks.
in the dungeon. She calls it the dungeon down in the basement. Take a little break and talk with me a little bit. I'm going to be using the Dictionary of Southern Appalachian English. That's what it looks like. I'll put a link in case you're interested in it. In a lot of my videos, I use the Dictionary of Smoky Mountain English, and that's the first edition kind of this dictionary. Michael Montgomery wrote that first book. This one, he had help, Jennifer Heinmiller, his assistant, and then Michael sadly passed away, and Jennifer was able to finish it. It's a really great book, and a lot of people have asked me. The first edition, the Dictionary of Smoky Mountain English, is because it's been out of print for so long, the copies of it are like $1,000.
Ooh.
It's very expensive. This one is not. It's still an expensive book, but no, not like that.
Wow.
But a lot of people have asked me, well, are they the same? I would say that this one has a lot of the same entries as the first one, but it also has other ones. And one thing I'm really proud about, kind of one of the things I'm most proud about my work celebrating Appalachia, is that the Blind Pig and the Acorn, my blog, is used as a reference in this one. So I'm always tickled to death when I see Blind Pig.
That is cool.
Yeah, it's very, very cool. So we're going to start. And again, I'll put that link if anybody's interested. And we're not reading, I don't ever read every exact word or even every entry. I just look at what jumps out to me. And that way I can do more videos. I can share more the next time.
That's true.
But the very first one is just, it's a very common word in one way, but I guess it's just kind of fell out of fashion. But it's abide. I think that is the most beautiful word, abide. Now, Katie and Paul sing a wonderful song. I can't think of the name. We just call it Abide because
that is what I call it.
Call it. But it is beautiful, beautiful gospel song that just has the most beautiful melody and lovely words too. We'll link to that so you can hear it, since neither one of us can't really remember the exact name.
There's a prayer like that.
I don't know exactly. I'll get the name wrong, but we do just call it Abide. We all know that's what it means.
I know, and I'm like, I can't come up with a name other than that.
Yeah. But so abide, to tolerate, endure with patience or difficulty, usually expressed in the negative. 1985, Murphy, Phantoms. She said she couldn't abide a fiddle just sawed helter-skelter. You saw your fiddle helter-skelter?
I don't know. I don't know.
It might be up to the person listening to say that.
I
love to hear a fiddle saw, though. I love to hear Katie, of course, is my favorite fiddler, but
I don't think I saw.
No.
I guess I could.
Yeah. That's probably the most, like, I think of the word as being so beautiful, like that wonderful gospel song, but then probably the most way that I would have heard it in my life, and probably yours too, Katie, is somebody saying, I can't stand that. I can't abide. I can't abide with.
I can't abide that.
Yeah, like.
Can't, which would I.
Can't abide, I don't know, unripe. I can't even think of anything.
Yeah, it's
unripe strawberries, there you go, or something. I can't abide somebody that acts like that. I can't abide drinking and cussing, those kind of things.
Jailbreakers. I mean, it's kind of like another way of saying I can't stand by and participate or support something that bothers you, I guess.
It's almost stronger, really, saying I can't abide it than to say I just can't stand it. Which, you can't stand it, I say that.
I always say I can't stand by. I can't stand by and be party to this. It's usually what I say. And I'm like, that. No one says that. They would just say, hey, I don't like that and I'm not doing that. But can't be party to this. Is that in there? Cannot be part of it.
We'll just go to the very last one, 2002, from Ron Rash, Foot in Eden. He'd want to tarry and talk after, but I wouldn't abide it. So, there you go.
Ron is saying I would not allow it.
Pretty interesting. Let's see, the next one we're going to talk about is about to die. This one is really, a lot of these words and phrases documented in both editions of the dictionary kind of sometimes puzzle me because I can't believe they're not just common everywhere. But they had to be some kind of, significance for them to be included, because Michael Montgomery was really a scholar when it come to linguist top studies of especially this area of southern Appalachia. So anyway, about to die, adjective phrase, gravely ill. 1966, from strangers, as Nurse Helen Phyllis Highbotham, I think's her name, of the Phi Beta Phi Settlement School at Gatlinburg during the early 20s wrote, I've had to get used to getting most of a woman's symptoms from her husband and not having heart failure when a messenger comes with the news that so-and-so is bad off, about to die, or got the fever. So bad off, we say that still today, so-and-so's bad off, they're in the hospital. And I think we still say about to die. That's really common to me, so I can't. Somebody that's in their last days, maybe you say they've called in hospice and they're about to die. I mean,
yeah, I don't know.
Really common.
It's like I almost don't think of that as like a phrase or like a particular vocabulary thing, more like just a sentence, like a description of this person's about to die. But I do say it like that. I don't say they're going to die, they might die. I say they're about to die.
Yeah.
But I know I do say bad off.
Yeah, we say bad off.
I say that all the time. I was just asking somebody the other day at church. I was like, how's so-and-so? And they're like, pretty bad off.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, oh, that, I guess that goes right along with probably means about to die. Kind of what that sounds like.
The next one, it's really, I didn't plan for this, but that Katie's here because she has a good story about this one, probably several stories, but is account. And then it says noun, see also no account, or no count, just no count. Variant forms, account, basically just saying what I said, but anyway, the meaning is value or worth. So most of the time people think of an account like, your account, even like a ledger, like you're keeping an account of what happened. Maybe if it's financial, the losses and gains, or if it's you're keeping an account of how someone did in school. You could even say like a report card would be an account of their grades. But in Appalachia, we really do use it to mean worth, like worth. Whether something's any count or no count or account. Some people say account. Let's see, let's go all the way to 1959. Purcell, Little Smoky. Some seem to have become completely discouraged, for Uncle Eli remembers that his father never was much account after the war. Oh, it's a blind pig one. Let's see. 2018, blind pig, November 15th. One day, the friend from Maryland. Oh, it's going to tell your story for you.
Oh, gosh.
One day, the friend from Maryland was talking about eating lunch down the road. Chitter, which is Katie, said to her, was the food any count? The friend said, what? I don't understand what you're asking me. And that was what I was going to get Katie to tell.
That did happen.
Yeah, and then Katie had to explain.
Well, I just mean was it any good?
I think at first you kept saying, it was any count. And she's like, I don't what?
Yeah, she literally had no idea what I was talking
and
about.
went back and finally
I was like, I'm sorry.
Yeah, sorry, I have to explain.
Well, most people would say, like, I think Dad's told me this before. He's like, it would be is it any account? Like, does it measure up? Does it have value or worth? But I never said I just said count. Like, right. It ain't no count. Right, and this documents, it's both. It's some people say any account, and then like Katie would just say any count. Just take that But it's funny because you don't ever, I don't think twice about it. And people sometimes literally don't know what you're trying to communicate. And then, of course, that happens across other languages and cultures too. But definitely. It's always funny when someone's like, I don't know what you're trying to tell me. I don't know what you're trying to ask me. And I always have to say, okay, it's my Appalachian language barrier stuff. Hold on, let me go back and simplify this in a way that is clear communication.
Yeah, that was interesting, though. And it's so neat that, see, I didn't know, I hadn't realized that. That's your actual little story. You're in there, too. Yeah. This one I've never ever heard of, and I don't think Katie has either. I just thought it was interesting. Acompucky, I guess you would say. Akempucky. Acompucky.
Mom, that's funny. It's cracking me
so
up.
it says in 1944, Wentworth. I guess it was in that book, or at that time they defined it as a food of jelly-like consistency as gelatin. Any food mixture of unknown ingredients.
Oh gosh, mystery jello is what I'm hearing.
Yeah, Acompucky.
Mystery gelatin.
Maybe makes me think of like souse meat or something like that. I don't know, Acompucky. Maybe we can bring that one back. I can't really say it, so I'm gonna have to work on that. But
yeah, I don't know.
Another interesting one that I've never heard of, but I liked, was acknowledge the corn. and that's a verb phrase. To admit the truth, confess a mistake. So 1881, Atkinson, after Moonshiners, if you want the more sensible man of the two, I suppose I must acknowledge the corn. I'm the man. And then 1927, Woofter, Dialect from West Virginia, to admit that one has made a mistake, he acknowledged the corn about losing my knife. So
that's cracking me up. I need to start going around and say, acknowledge the corn. I'm really better than you at XYZ.
Yeah.
I don't know about that.
And see, those two especially, please let us know if you've ever heard those or heard any reference to them.
I might have heard someone say just acknowledge the fact.
Yeah.
Admit the facts, acknowledge the facts, respect the facts, and then say this is what the truth is, but
acknowledge
corn, something so specific. Why corn?
I wonder, it is interesting that first one's related to moonshine, and that's almost like admit that the corn is really, you're using it for moonshine. I don't know if that has any connection.
Maybe that's how it started.
Because then the second one's about losing a knife, so I don't know. Like, acknowledge the corn, you lost my knife.
Maybe that's how it started. Somebody got busted moonshine, and they were saying, well, I'm just hauling this corn to feed my cows with. And they're like, you need to acknowledge the corn. We can see it. You're not hiding it.
Yeah, maybe that's...
And you also don't have cattle, so you're not feeding. Whose cows are you feeding?
Yeah, that's interesting.
Maybe it started like that.
I don't know. Anyway, never heard neither one of those, but we hope you'll tell us if you have. The next one is just a usage, really, but I never get tired of talking about it because it's one that's still really common. You'll hear across, but the thing you hear is across. You hear people put the T on it at the end, and all those like that. What are the other ones, Katie, that's like that?
Where people put extra
like
things on the end?
Yeah, of course I can't think of none of them at the moment. It's left my mind. But it's a time, those are the ones, sometimes I hear someone that sounds nothing like me, but one word will slip in and they'll put like that T or something in there. And then I'm like, oh, you had an influence somewhere.
I know what you're saying.
I wish I could think of some of the others because there's like a whole list of them. Of course, when you put yourself on the spot, you never can.
You will later when it's a mute.
Yeah, when y'all are gone, I'll be like, Katie. 1864, Odell Civil War letters. The report is that Old Hood is across Tennessee River this morning. We'll skip on down. 1913, Capehart, our Southern Highlanders. Although the hillsmen save some breath in this way, they waste a good deal by inserting sounds where they do not belong. Sometimes it is only added consonant. Giarden, across, that was his two examples. I don't agree with Capehart, though, so I don't like how he phrased that, but Giarden, across. 1930, Mass Tall Tales. It ain't but 40 mile across the mountains yander to where I live at, and the walking's good. Can you imagine walking 40 miles to go to your house?
No, that would be rough.
Here's one. We'll go to the very last one. Williams. That's Cleo Hicks Williams. Gratitude for Shoes. Wonderful, wonderful book if you can find it. Kind of hard to read in places because she really sticks to the dialect and writes like that. But beautiful, beautiful story of her life and the struggles she went through. Very inspiring. And even better than that, it was just up the road from us in Andrews in the Junaluska area of Cherokee County. So wonderful book. Anyway, so she says she could aim it clear across the stall and hit wherever she wanted to. Aim it clear across the stall. Wonder if she's talking about an animal doing it, or probably, maybe. Going right across along with that one is across the waters. I don't hear the waters as much as sometimes you'll hear somebody jokingly say across the pond, the big pond or something, talking about in Europe or maybe where they come from. 1937, Hall Collection, Cosby, Tennessee. My grandpa came to this country from across the waters about the time of the Old War. But I don't really hear across the waters.
I hear across the pond.
Across the pond.
I've always
just like
said that.
In a joking way, kind of. This next one is one that's really, like I said, I can't imagine that it's not just very, very common, beyond common everywhere, in the United States at least. Act a fool. Also, act the fool. Verb phrase, to act up, play the clown. We'll go all the way to the last one. 1991, Wheels, Last Train. We all worked just alike, scuffed and cut up, and acted the fool. So that one's really, I think, really common, though.
I say that all the time.
Yeah.
I'm like, but instead of act a fool, I'm always like, people out there acting a fool.
Yeah.
Meaning like that's an action, a behavior, like
Yeah.
something specific they're doing.
That one's really common, I think, but it's in here. Adam's ale. This is one that I didn't grow up hearing or know about until I started, researching for the Blind Pig and the Acorn. But I love it. Adam's ale is water, which makes perfect sense when you think about it. The original drink. Oh, Katie's got her some Adam's ale. There you go.
That's weird. I was like, I'm thirsty.
Yeah, there you go. Adam's ale. 1939 FAR, Tennessee Mountain Regions. It just means water. I drink nothing but Adam's ale. We drink a lot of Adam's ale around here, even though I never heard it called that. Pap was a big proponent of drinking Adam's ale.
He said, if you want to be healthy, you got to drink lots of water. It'll cure you. That's what he'd say. He'd say it'll cure any ailment that you've got.
Ailment.
Yep, and
it will. It will really help you in a lot of ways. And we're all big believers. I don't know. I think Paul drinks lots of water. I'm not sure about Steve. Thinking about my family, except Granny. She does not care for Adam's
Granny
ale.
believes she can meet her daily quota for water intake
With
if
an ice
she
cube.
adds extra ice cubes to her Sprite.
Okay, Adam's needle. This is a whole list of Adams, different things. We won't go over all of them, but it's a yucca plant, and I've seen those my whole life, but didn't really know what they were called, or even know they were called yuccas.
I call my yucca plant.
Yucca, until I again started
wrong.
researching. I think Don Cassida told me that, but taught me that. But it's when I started writing for the Blind Pig and
They're
Acorn.
pokey.
They're pokey, and there's a beautiful little group of them at Miss Cindy's house. She didn't plant them; they were there. That house was built in 1937. I don't know where along the way they come from, but
I like them because when you see them places like here, it almost looks like they don't belong here because of the sharpness of the plant. They look like cactus.
They look like they're a desert plant or something. Says 1964 Stupka, tree, shrubs, vines. During some years, Adam's needle begins to bloom at the end of May.
Mm-hmm.
I'd say that's certainly right. When we were caring for Miss Cindy this past year and spending every day pretty much at her house, they were in full bloom during that time.
They were, yeah.
Adam's off ox. Now, this one is interesting. I didn't really hear that one. I've read it in books, but it's very common to hear people my whole life say, I didn't know him from Adam. I didn't know him from Adam, or I didn't know her from Adam. Talking about somebody you either didn't ever know, or a stranger that come up to you and said something, or maybe somebody you knew when they were little, now they're grown up and you didn't recognize them, that kind of thing. But also, and it says Adam's off ox, also Adam's fool, Adam's house cat. Noun, a person one does not know or cannot identify, especially in phrase know from. And then it does say here the phrase know whoever from Adam is widespread in the U.S. So I guess it's already stating that one's a really common one. We'll go all the way to 1991. William's home place. After all, she didn't know me from Adam's house cat, but she had invited me in, and I doubt if she had any real intention of changing her ways. I mostly just don't know him from Adam, that part, but I guess you could insert house cat, off ox, fool. It says Adam's fool. I've never heard that one either. Have you ever heard anybody say any of those? Kate?
No, I mean, I've only just heard from Adam. Don't know him from Adam.
The next one is one that I still hear on occasion from certain people, and we all use it kind of in a joking manner for sure, but I still hear some people that don't even realize they're saying it, but it's afeared for afraid. Afeared. I'm afeared of that. It says Joseph Hall found that in the Smoky Mountains in the late 1930s, afeared was the form universally used in preference to afraid. That is so interesting. And I would say that's why in our local area there are still people, because thinking about the Smoky Mountains is not very far from us. We don't actually live right in the Smoky Mountains, but we're adjacent, I guess you'd say, to them. But we're so close, and so many people have stayed here for generations, their families, so you can see why that would have been passed down, and people still say it. But of course it just means to be afraid. We'll go all the way to 1989. It's got a whole big long list. Katie's going to fall.
It's this weather.
It's the weather, the rain, and me talking probably too. 1989, Smith flying bullets. That Charles had a lot of nerve. He wasn't afeared of them in the least bit. And then it's quoting Cleo again, William's gratitude, afeared. It's just saying that it was in there, noted that she used it. So, you ever hear anybody? I can think of one of your daddy's friends that says afeared.
I've heard that before.
Yeah.
I mean, I might not use it, or it might not be as common, but if I heard it, I would know what it meant.
Oh, yeah.
I would understand what someone was trying to tell me.
And probably older people, although the friend I'm thinking about is younger than Matt, but probably older people more likely to use it. That's probably one of the ones, though, that's on its way out, that another few years there'll be nobody that says it. A for, this kind of goes with a feared, a for, before, instead of before, a for. Again, I would rarely hear that one, but have heard some people say it. And it's got a lot of them.
I've heard it a few times.
It's, again, from Cape Art, saying, giving examples, a for, a twixt, a war, heap of folks. All these everyday expressions of the backwoods were contemporary with the Canterbury tales, he's saying.
Very nice.
Yeah, we'll see if there's any more in it. I wish we'd find another one of the blind pig ones, but it's not in here for sure. 1954, Arnaud, doll maker. Whatever kind of luck comes, good or bad, it had already come to somebody afore us. Boy, any of Harriet Simpson Arnaud, I love her books. The doll maker will make you so mad and break your heart, make you cry, and then make you so mad you can't stand it. I got so mad at the star of the book that I couldn't stand it. I wanted to shake her, but it's such a beautiful book. But what wisdom in that. Whatever kind of luck comes, good or bad, it has already come to somebody afore us. That's kind of like a outlook that's common, I would say, maybe not so much today, but in some people, I would say certainly me and Matt and our family, but especially in the older generations in Appalachia, kind of that stoicism about that you just have to take what comes and to remember that there's other people out there that's been through the rough times and the hard times, or the good times too, so that's pretty neat. That's a good one. A front of, again, I want to just put an A instead of front of. It says preposition in front of, before. 1986, Helton, around home, preceding. Montgomery collection, and it just tells who it was known of. So I might have heard, you've heard people say that, like, he lives in that little house down there, a front of the farm. Have you heard anybody say it like that?
Yeah, I think I've heard people talk about it in terms of weather. I've heard people say, like, there's cold air coming in front of the hot air.
Yeah. If your daddy was here, he'd say that like a backdoor cold front.
Yeah, that's true. I've heard it
teases me about
the rain is coming in front of the cold.
Yeah. Well, that would be exactly what it was talking about. And then this last one, we'll stop after this one, but it's after, just after. We all know what after means, but it's kind of the variant forms. It says it's adder, arter, adder. They're all adder, but they're spelled with either a T or a D. But that's the one you commonly hear in this area. You would hear somebody say, "I'll see you after a while."
So basically, we're just referring to them mispronouncing.
Yeah, it's just, well, that's a lot of the, whether it's in the dictionary or just in the ones I talk about, a lot of it is just mispronunciations, but it's on such a large scale that you have to notice it. I mean, you can't just say, well, that one person don't know how to say that. It becomes so like widespread.
Everybody's doing it, right?
That one, well, let's read a bit and then I'll say what I was going to say, but 2013 Venable, How to Talk. I told Ma I'd fix the roof after turkey season. So that's a good one. 1979, I went back after I got grown and eat another meal with them. 1989 Landry, Smoky Mountain Interviews. After we got our wheat sowed and everything in the cove is when we done our bear hunting. And then it goes on and on and on. We don't have to. I was just going to look and see if there was any from the blind pig, but I don't see one.
Study after.
2004 Fisher Kettle Bottom. After them four was out on the back porch drinking. After. That one says after there, but 2008 Rosie Hicks. It must have did after. So anyway, after, adder. But Adderwall is the one that I would hear. And it's funny, when I was growing up, probably when I was maybe 12, 13, 14, something like that, that was like people would say that. I'll see you Adderwall, or we'll see you. That was too. We'll see you when they was leaving. We'll see you Adderwall. And it just got, for some reason, I went through this spell where that just got on my last nerve. I didn't like it. And I was like, I just wanted to say, no, you will not. Are you just going to come right back in and look at me? You know, I was just being really, really obnoxious in my mind. I never said nothing like that to nobody. But what is really funny is all these years later, here I am really happy that word adder is in the dictionary. And it don't bother me a bit. It don't make me feel.
That's funny.
Yeah, it don't make me feel like, oh,
I
superior or anything.
I can hear Granny saying that. I can hear her saying, not right now, doll, but after a while.
Yeah.
I've heard that. She would say after a while.
After a while.
And she would say exactly like that. Like, I'd be like, are we going to do something? I'd be asking about something. And she'd be like, not right now, doll. She'd always say doll, but after a while. And then I would always be like, but when is after a while?
Yeah.
I'm looking for like a specific time of day. And then, you know, people, her and Pat both would say that. After a while. And I'm like, but when is after a while?
It's another one like that is a lot of people in our area and in other places too, I know, say directly. Like, directly, I'm going to go to town. That's kind of directly and after a while kind of equal out. They equal. There's no specific.
Like, why are you being so vague?
Yeah.
Sometimes I think it was probably just they were like, they didn't know. And they were like, and you just keep demanding an answer.
Yeah, maybe, yeah.
And they really just didn't know. Because sometimes I'm thinking like that, well, after a while, I got to go do da-da-da-da. But you sometimes don't have a specific time
it's not
frame.
like in 1 hour and 15 minutes I'm going to.
Right.
Yeah.
That's funny.
I hope after a while it quits raining. I don't think it's going to.
Well,
though.
I thought the radar said that possibly it would blow out of here along about 12 or 1, possibly 2 o'clock. And the yard is a lake. So any extra hour, we're just getting, like, the lake is getting bigger.
Is increasing. Yeah. Well, we really appreciate you spending time with us today talking about these wonderful, wonderful words and phrases that really are near and dear to my heart. And I also know they're near and dear to Katie's for her. She says some of them herself. Now we've got documentation. She's in the book.
Proof that I have participated.
And also, though, because of like Pap and Granny and even her mom and daddy. So we're always grateful when you stop by to help us celebrate Appalachia.
Let's go get some more Chex Mix. I'm thinking about it.
Chex Mix.
Calling me. So I was drinking the water because it's salty.
Yeah, it sounds pretty good.